Hey there, guys. Welcome to my channel. I am Cerise Fairfax. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the dark side of a working girl. I already brought out a working girl video today, this morning. But you know what? I know you guys are used to one with a little bit of drama in it. So I'm bringing out another one right now. Alrighty, let's get down to it. Hey there, my name is Anna. I never ever thought that I would say my story on any video. Not any of Cerise's story times for sure. I used to hear them and I heard a lot about them in Sosua, but I never thought I would be in one until her new series came out, Diary of a Working Girl. And I heard the first two. And I was like, my story is like better than those two stories. And it's not that it has to be a nasty story or anything of that nature, but seriously, I have like three in one. Like I could be the whole series in and of itself. But let me just get to basics. Okay. So I was 7 years old when my mom died. My father, he was what is known as a Sankey Panky. And he was just going after woman on Playa Sosua, and he was never home. And he ended up becoming more of a beach bum, to be honest with you. Never brought any food home for my mom at all. And so my mom, she ended up really sick. We really don't know what she died with, but she was young. And my grandmother always told me she died of a broken heart, but I don't think she loved my dad that much to die of a broken heart. I think it was just an excuse that my grandmother gave for not really knowing what she died of. But this story is not really about my mom. So I was 7 years old, and I can remember being at my mom's funeral, and I remember thinking how the body just stunk. My mom always smelled good, no matter what, you know, but this day she stunk so bad. And I remember thinking, she's in a wooden box. And I also remember thinking that I don't want to be buried like that one day. I want to be buried in a beautiful, beautiful casket. I know this sounds awful talking about death, but I'm going to get to the story in a second. So that's when I was living with my grandmother. Well, to be honest with you, I was living with my grandmother and my mom, so it's not like my life changed that much. It was just that my mom was no longer there. So here I am living with my grandmother, and things were okay at first. My uncle, he was working at the airport, so he was bringing in bags from foreigners that were coming in, and he was making great tips. And he would always bring home the money to my grandmother, who's his mom. And we didn't really want for anything. Well, we didn't really need for anything, but we always wanted things. And my grandmother would always sit out front and she would watch the foreigners go by, and they would be doing, walkabouts and little tours around the city. And my grandmother always would mention to me, look at them. They must live so rich in their country. Look at their shoes. Look at their clothing. Everything is so brand new. And I would look and I would watch. Families would go by. And I would always look at the little girls and think those little girls were so lucky. And then as I got older and I went through school, everything was fine. And then my grandmother died. When my grandmother died, my uncle, he didn't know how to take care of me. And at this point, I was 17. So I was sent to go live with my dad's grandmother. And my dad's grandmother was not the nicest woman in the world. She was kind of like my dad, but not a beach bum. But she was kind of like a house rat. And I don't like to say that, but it's true. She had men there all the time. And she would sell cervezas out of the house, and anything else she could get her hands on, she was selling, including me. Including me. And that's how I became a working girl, because by the time I was 19, I wasn't going to be working for her any longer. 2 years of her selling me, it was horrible. And I thought to myself, I'm not even getting 1 cent from this. Well, 1 peso. I wasn't eating any better. It's not like I had better clothes. She was just taking the money that she was making from me and reinvesting it into her business, her colmado, her home. And she was always looking good herself, but never did anything for me. So when I was 19, I took off. And I didn't go very far. I don't really want to say where I lived with my grandmother, because I don't really want to call places out. Otherwise, people may know me. I don't know who's listening to this video. But I ended up going to Puerto Plata. I can say that because Puerto Plata is big. And of course, it's not as big as Santiago or Santo Domingo, but I didn't have any dreams of going that big. But I thought to myself, in Puerto Plata, nobody will find me. And I went to Puerto Plata, and I went with 3 girlfriends of mine. And we were only going for the day. We thought, let's go for the day. And we went. First, it started out with us just going for the day. But then when we got there, we went to a club, and I met a gringo. And that gringo said to me that I was the most beautiful woman he ever laid eyes on. Of course, I didn't tell him I was 19 years old. I told him I was 23. And he asked me to go home with him that night. And I didn't even think twice about it. I said yes. And I was like, wow, I felt like I won the lottery. And I said to him, sure, I can go home with you. And my friends, they were like, go, yeah, go, like, just let us know you're okay. So I went with him. And I wasn't expecting him to do to me what he did. He was quite a nasty man. Any hole in my body that he could play with, he played with. And not in a nice way. And he roughed me up, and he hurt me very badly. And I felt like I had no voice. I felt like I had no one to speak to, no one to tell. I felt so foolish. I felt like I really let my grandmother down. Not my dad's mother, but my mom's mother. And I felt like I let my mom down. The next morning, believe it or not, I was willing to stay with him again. And he said to me, hey, did you enjoy the night last night? And I told him, well, it was a little painful. And he said, oh, come on, you can't tell me you're a virgin. Come on now. I know how you girls are here. And of course, I wasn't. So I wasn't going to lie. But because of him, I did become a liar. Anyway, I'll get to that. So I said to him, I just don't like it that rough. And he's like, well, are you going to stay another night? I have another 7 days in town. If you want, you can stay the 7 days with me. And you know what? I said yes. I thought it was going to get better. I thought for some reason he was going to respect me the next night. But he didn't. And then the next night, he didn't. And by the 4th night, I couldn't handle it. So when he went to sleep, I realized that I was going to take everything he had. Everything. And I saw the code that he was putting into the safe. So when he got drunk again, because he was getting drunk every night, and he was just doing everything else, but as soon as he laid his head down, I couldn't wait I couldn't wait. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to get you good. I'm going to get you back. You don't want to respect my body. You just want to take advantage of me. You don't know how to treat me like the queen, the princess that I am. Tomorrow you're going to wake up crying. And I wanted him to wake up crying the same way my soul was crying out for dignity. As soon as his head hit the pillow and he started to snore, I got up quietly from the bed. I tiptoed across the room. I went directly to the safe and I took every single thing. And you know what? I didn't have to do this, but I did. I took his passport as well because I wanted to give him extra headache. I didn't have a passport at the time, but I certainly knew how important they were. I mean, come on, it's not like anybody that I knew was flying out of the country. Nobody I knew back then even had a passport. Not many people I know now have passports. But I took his because I wanted to burn it. Truth be told, I wanted to burn him in the bed. I had bruises all over me. He even bit the bottoms of my feet. So if you're thinking to yourself right now that, oh, just a little roughness in bed and I'm just making something big deal out of it, The way that man treated me, I haven't even seen that on movies before, unless it was scary movies. He bit the bottom of my feet so hard that when I tiptoed across the floor, the palms of my feet hurt. They were bruised. I could hardly put my flip-flops on, but I did. And I left his place with everything. It was around 2:00 in the morning, and I got outside, and I felt amazing. I took his bank card. Oh, by the way, his bank card too. Oh, by the way, let me explain everything that was in the safe. In his safe, there was a watch, and there was also his passport. There was also about $2,000 worth the money, give or take a little bit. And then, of course, there was his bank card. There were a few gold chains and rings that he was keeping in there. I didn't even know those were in there until I opened up the safe because he didn't wear that jewelry out and about. And I cleaned that safe out. I remember digging all the way in the back of it. It was just a small safe, but I remember digging all the way in the back of it just to see if I'm missing anything. But I did. I got it all. And then I took his bank card because I knew the code for his bank card. You see, this man was so foolish. In just 3 days, he got so buzzed up the first 2 nights that I saw him use his bank card in the bank machine. We walked to the bank together a few times together because he kept reloading on whatever it was he was taking, if you know what I mean. It was white. So he was reloading on it over and over, and we had to keep going back to the bank machine. And he, at one point, we just wanted to hurry up and get his money out of the bank machine. So he stopped covering the code, and I saw the code. So I was like, well, I got his code to the bank machine and also to the safety security box. Like, this guy had absolutely no common sense. And I couldn't believe it. My first grandmother did tell me that some of the men that come here get themselves in problems, and it's not the girl's problem, it's the guys because they don't think. And I will never forget that. Then my second grandmother that I lived with and left, she told me that all gringo men are stupid. They all come here for one thing. And when they get here and they get it, they don't know how to act. They lose their minds. And she would always say to me that I got that juice that they want to drink. And so I didn't know what that meant until years later. But now I know what it means. Oh, trust me. And I got that juice. But let's get back to that night. So I got all his stuff and I went to the bank machine and I could only withdraw a certain amount. It wouldn't allow me to withdraw any more. I guess because he spent his amount that night. But this was 2 o'clock in the morning. So I didn't understand why I couldn't get the money out, because the night before that, he kept saying he just has to wait till 12 o'clock and he can get more money out. But this was 2 o'clock in the morning, and I gotta admit, I tried to clean him out, but only a certain amount came out. And I took it, and then I jumped a cab. I jumped in a cab and I came right back to Sosua, and I met up with my girlfriends and we partied all night. Well, it was already morning. So we partied all morning long. As soon as I got to my friends, I was like, come on, let's go out. We're going shopping. We went shopping. We all got our hair done. We all got our nails done. We all went and bought a couple of outfits. And then after that, we just drank all day long. And it took about a day and a half for the money to be gone. I was just giving it away like it was candy. I didn't realize that saving it would have been smart. So I obviously had to do it again. With my new outfit, we went to the casino and we met more gringos. And then it just became a habit for me. I would go with them, and I'm beautiful. Like, I am beautiful, and I know I am. I have a pretty face. I have a pretty body. I know how to please a man in bed, clearly, because I have a lot of experience. And I just made a living of it. A guy would get with me and, he would not want to get with another woman after me. He felt like he hit the jackpot once he got with me. And of course, I know how to be sweet and nice. I know a lot of American women, they like to boss their men around. A lot of the American men would say to me, oh, I like Dominican women because they treat me really good. They treat me like a queen, they massage me, they cook for me, they ask me if I'm okay, they look out for me, and I don't need to give them so much. And I just would be like, okay, thank you for teaching me what a man needs. And I say American, but that goes for all men. It doesn't matter if they're German, if they're Italian, if they're Chinese, if they are French, if they are Canadian, American, you name it, and they all want to be treated like kings. So I treat them like that. A couple of days pass, and I have no interest any longer, because once I get the code to the safety security box, and once I get to know where they're placing their stuff, their cell phone, their wallet, their money. They all have different places where they put it. Some guys, they put it in their shoes. Some guys, they put it in the couch. They think I'm not watching, but I watch everything. My grandmother taught me how to watch. And I watch. And they get so lazy. Once they start to trust a woman, it's so comical how they all of a sudden trust her. And they think to themselves, oh, she's a good one. She's a good one. I am on the streets, you fool. Like, I'm going to take from you as quickly as I can. I don't want you. I love my Dominican man. I love a good Dominican man. My Dominican man understands me. I like some white man. I like some black man. I'll go with any man, to be honest with you, as long as he has money. But when I have children, it will be with a Dominican man. When I live out the rest of my years, I don't want to go to America. I don't want to live in Canada. Look at the state of America and Canada right now. It's horrible. Even during the change of the world, the Dominican Republic was better off than them. And I'm not putting down America. And I'm not putting down Canada. Canadians did a lot for my country. And Americans do a lot for my country right now. But, again, I am a working girl. And I don't have much education. And I don't know what I'm going to do for my future. But I do know how to get a man. And so when we get to his hotel, the first thing I'm looking at is where he's putting his wallet, his phone, his keys. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it is valuable to him, I am looking where he puts it. There was one time when this one guy, he was only in town for a week, and he was here already for 2 days, and he went through a bunch of females, and like the first 2 days, and he was spending money on them, but he just couldn't find that juice that I got. And the girls were telling me about him. They're like, he just goes soft, he just goes limp, like he's not looking for anything except love, and he thinks he's going to find love here. The girls were all laughing at him. And it wasn't his first trip here, but he did that all the time. After his first 2 days, he'd just, be with the girls. And then his last few days, he'd just go be with the guys. And so us girls, we knew. But finally, he decided to try me. You see, every other time when he was here, I was always occupied. I always had someone. But this time, I didn't. So I went home with him, and he kept me for the rest of his vacation here. It was another 4 days. It was the last day that he was getting ready to go. And he was like, okay, like the night before. And he was like, okay, I like to pack up everything the night before and make sure I'm ready because I got a flight early in the morning. So, and so he took some sleeping aids, and we held each other. And it's sad because I really did like this one. But we went to sleep together, and it was just my habit. It was just a thing I did. As soon as he hit his head on the pillow and those sleeping aids kicked in, I got up, and I finally, by the way, I didn't even get the codes all those other days. It was the last night that I got those codes because he was packing up, and he was opening up the safe, and he was closing the safe again. And then he was, like opening up his suitcase, and he had keys for his suitcase, these little tiny keys. I saw where he put those. Oh, everything. And I don't know why, but for some reason with him, I left his passport behind. I think because I liked him and I didn't want him to be stranded. He didn't do anything wrong. But all the other men that I did it to, I would take their passport every time with the intentions of selling it back to them. And not me selling it back to them, but a guy friend of mine. And that was just the game that we had going on. But after him, I stopped taking people's passports. Anyway, I took everything. I took the keys to his suitcase, opened up his suitcase, rummaged through that, took everything that I needed from there. He had a few little belongings in there, not too much. He had like a gold watch, and he had some type of old necklace. And so I just rummaged through all that. His safe box. He had money and his wallet and everything, credit cards and all that. So, I just took everything that I thought would be of value, and I left his place. Well, he ended up waking up way earlier than his early flight because I guess, how you have a flight the next morning, I wouldn't know, but you get antsy because you feel like you have to go somewhere, I would assume. Well, that's what happened to him, and he woke up and he saw everything gone. I even took the rental car. I grabbed the keys, and I really wanted to get out of there as soon as I could. And I even took the rental car. And my girls and I, we took off to Santiago. We don't even know why we went to Santiago. We didn't know anyone out there, but we wanted to get as far away from Sosúa as we could, because we just didn't want to get in trouble. And on the way, we drank and we drank. And then just before we got into Santiago area, we smashed the car by accident. We went into a ditch. I don't know how. It was kind of dark, I guess. Wee hours of the morning, and we didn't see the turn, and boom. I would say we were lucky to be alive. But we ended up climbing out of the car, and we were all okay. We actually escaped with not even a scratch. It was strange. I think my grandmother and my mom was looking over us. We ended up just walking down the road, and we walked a little bit more until a car pulled over, and we all climbed into the car and went to Santiago and rented a little cheap hotel room for the night. He was calling my cell phone and calling my cell phone. And so finally my friend said, answer the cell phone, otherwise you are going to look guilty. And of course the cell phone was not in my name. It was in a person's name that bought the cell for me. And of course this guy didn't know my real name. And, he didn't take any photos of me because he's married. So he didn't want to be caught in any photos either. And he didn't want any photos of me on his cell phone. Some guys, they take photos of me, and I often tell them no because I don't want to be put on the internet. That's what I tell them. But really, I couldn't care less if they put me on the internet. I just don't want to get caught with them because, I know that I'm going to take everything from them. But he didn't want any photos of me, so I did answer the phone. And he said, oh my gosh, where are you? Everything's gone. And I said, is it really? And he's like, don't act like that. Don't act like you don't know. He's like, the only thing that's here is my passport. Everything else is gone. And I said, I'm sorry to hear that. I had to leave because my mom was sick and I had to get up and go. I left the front door open. And he's like, well, downstairs the guard told me that you left and, you said goodbye. But like he said that you took the car. They have cameras out front. Like you took the car. And I said, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. But no, I didn't. They didn't have cameras out front. And the guard did not see me take the car because the guard was sleeping when I left. I went through the front lobby and even the front concierge was sleeping. Everyone was sleeping. And I snuck out very quietly out the front gate. And nobody saw me and there's no cameras out there. So I said to him, well, if there's cameras out there, then you will know that I didn't take the car, and I'm sorry that that happened to you, but I'm with my sick mother right now in Santiago. And of course, he didn't know that my mom died, but I had to lie because I didn't want to get caught. That one was a close call. The car was found, I would assume. I don't really know what happened to him afterwards, but I did like him. He was married. So, shame on him. Shame on him. I don't know. I have a taste for this now, and I don't know when I'm going to stop it. And I have so many other stories for Cerise's series. And I'm going to share them all because some of them are quite interesting. And Cerise told me that I'm going to be part of the Dark series. She's going to have some that just talk about how working girls became working girls and talk about their life and how they survive. But then she said there's going to be the dark part of the series and I'm going to be the star. Well, she didn't say I'm going to be the star, but I am the star. Put it that way. And I'm wondering how many of you are listening to this story that I did this to. I wonder. I wonder if you're going, oh, it's okay. Anyway, really, I just want to say to you, if you meet a woman that you think you can trust after 3 days, then shame on you. You're asking for a damaged train wreck to hit you. If you're hiding your stuff in front of the woman, thinking you can trust her, and you're afraid of someone that's going to bust in, you are a joke. Oh, it's okay. Hopefully, some of you can save yourself and save yourself some worry. Listen, hide your stuff inside the fake plant, not inside the safe or the safety to security box. Why are you hiding it in there? That's a joke. That's the first place a woman is going to look when you are opening it up, when you are closing it. Anything you're doing in that area, she's going to be watching you. She's going to be holding you, wrapped all around your waist, maybe even trying to kiss you as you're opening it up. She's eyeing it. You're so foolish. Put your stuff inside of the plant vases. Put your stuff inside of places that people will never ever guess. Be smart. Don't be taken. Well, guys, how was that story? Ooh, dark side. Well, it happens here, you know? I mean, and this girl has so many other stories, and she's hurt. She's hurt. She's, her mom's passed on. Her dad just doesn't want to have anything to do with her. Her grandma passed on. Her other grandma sold her. That's a lot of pain for one person to go through. And I always say to her, hurt people hurt people. And I told her that one day she will heal, and she will heal people. And I think this is the beginning of her healing stage, because to speak up like this, I know that a lot of the girls are finding it therapeutic. And the things that they have done, it's kind of like admitting it, and it's getting it up off their chest. So welcome to the dark side of Diary of a Working Girl. Alrighty, guys, enjoy your day. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Cerise Fairfax, and this is my channel. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, share this story, and comment down below.